Thanks for finding time to join our podcast. We are really grateful for you that you found time to from your busy schedule to do this podcast with us. Thank you very much. And how are you? How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Ayush. It's been a good day today. And
Okay.
thanks for this invite so that I can share some of my learnings till now.
Okay. So, sir, for our listeners who were not aware of Jagdish Yadav, sir, so he has won 5 international titles, and he's now coaching the young talents of Team India, and many of the renowned names in the Indian team are now playing under his guidance. So, do you wanna just shed some light on your which which players you are training right now, sir?
As of now, we are training like around 40 top state and national players. 60% of them are like doubles players.
Mm-hmm.
Remaining are mixed doubles and singles players.
Okay.
Currently, India number one, Ashwini Shika, and the past India number 4 by Prakash Raj, and current India Karnataka number one players Prakash Raj, Vishal, Nitin, Ramya, and Canadian singles player is number 2 in Canada, Sankir, and one more player from Canada is Ramnesh. Many other junior players also playing.
Okay. So, sir, you yourself were a really great doubles player, and now you're saying that many of the doubles players are playing under your guidance. So, is it like we could say that it's a doubles expertise academy? Could we say that?
I was known for doubles, but I was a good singles player until
Yeah.
I got injured my knee. Like 5 times I injured my knee. Till then I was a good singles player. I represented Karnataka in 3 nationals in singles only.
Mm-hmm.
When I was playing in Malaysian Super Series singles against Denmark player, I had my knee injury. Then I decided to quit singles because that injury was coming every now and then. So during that day, we had no such facilities like physio, strength training, nutrition, and there was no guidance what to do for what kind of injury, how to do the rehabilitation. These are all the things we learned by ourselves after getting that experience on our body only. Whereas now there are specific staff and the trainer, physio, nutritionist for each and every specific problem which comes in a athlete's career. So in a way, it's pretty good now in India for sports than 10 years before.
Sir, you told us about a transition from a doubles player to from a singles player to expert doubles player. So how did a coaching come in your life? Could you just explain your transition into a coach?
Coaching, see, I started my badminton career very late. Could you guess what age I started badminton? Right now I'm 36 years old. I started my badminton career exactly half of my age, at the age 18. When I was under 19 last year, I started playing badminton. Till then I was a cricket player, state level.
Okay.
So some situation happened which made me turn to badminton. So I think I took coaching for in summer camp in 2-3 months, that's all, indoor. Before that I used to play in outdoor.
Okay.
There every day I used to go and play with members and collect those feathers, shuttles, which were dropped by them. I used to get them home, remove each and every feather, again make it one good shuttle. Like that I had made 10 boxes in 1 year.
Okay.
So with that only I used to practice in outdoor.
Okay.
So later I got a chance to join in one indoor, that is in Karnataka Badminton Association, through my coach. That coach saw me playing in outdoor tournament. So he told, you come to indoor. There I just played for 3 months. Then I played one district tournament. I lost in quarters. Then played state ranking tournament under 19. I played finals.
Okay.
And I lost in that finals. And that was also doubles. That was my first title in 6 months after playing badminton in indoor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir,
Under
sir,
19.
so how did you turn to coaching after your badminton career got over?
See, coaching, I used to, like in 2015, I used to do part-time coaching. Still, I was playing professional badminton. I had started coaching just because to fund myself for the tournaments, not for anything else. Even though I was working in sports quota, railways, and income tax for few years, the salary which we used to get was not even enough for the shuttles and some travel expenses. So what I thought, I let me do some coaching. And I was literally interested in teaching the players who doesn't have proper coach, because I came to this level by the struggle. Like we didn't have current scenario at that time. Right now we have so many coaches. That time, if you want a coach, you have to go, you have to search, and you have to fund yourself. The worst part during those days is the preference was given only for studies. When I started my badminton, I was doing my second year PUC, Science PCMB. The players who were already performing that time, they left the badminton and completely started studying. Whereas me, in a different approach, started at that time and completely getting into badminton. That too without 100% support of parents. So from that time, this passion in me and the determination to achieve something in badminton made me learn by seeing many things around me. When I joined KBA, in KBA there are 10 courts. 5 courts is PPBA, 5 courts is KBA. So PPBA is a proper academy for badminton. So during engineering time, I used to go early at 2:30, 3:30. I used to go sit and watch around 1.5 to 2 hours before I play. So I used to watch and learn many things. So whereas many players today, what they do is, we will tell 100 points, they'll grasp only 1 point. So the learning and the grasping power starts from the inner passion and determination in any player. So this made me like the struggle which I had made me to come into this field, and so that other players like me will not be get affected without getting any getting a good coaching or a facility. After this 2015, few months of coaching in one of the club, I had produced 2-3 state players, junior players. Then at my peak of doubles career, at the end of I think December 2017, after winning my Sweden Open bronze medal, I decided, my age is already 32 now. So Olympics is 2 more years. And again, I have to change my doubles partner who is able to come and play international tournaments so that my Olympic dream will be fulfilled. My ultimate goal was to play Olympics. When I saw the next 2 years of plan, and again changing a partner, again coming back to international circuit, performing there, I didn't see any good sign of participating in 2020 Olympics. So that moment I decided and I started professional badminton coaching with one of my uh, badminton centers right now in JP Nagar with 6 badminton courts, swimming pool, exclusive gym for badminton, and we have 2 big dormitories and 3 rooms for residential players.
So, sir, really congrats to you for setting up such a like a good place for badminton players to come and train. And sir, you highlighted that you started at age 18, and this is the age when
Yes.
majority of players are just going towards turning back to studies and leaving their sports career and just focusing on their careers. And there's uh, I have been a badminton player myself, and I know that thing that there's a major conception among players that if you start early, then only you could pursue it uh, at a good level, or else you will just be stuck on a semi-professional or amateur level. So could you just highlight that what's your opinion on this, that is it really necessary to start at a very early age to become a good like a professional player, or is it fine to just take your time and learn basics about life and other things in life and then slowly gradually take on any sport? What's your opinion on that?
See, early start of badminton definitely is an advantage to perform at higher level at a correct age, at the proper timing of your biological conditions of your physical biological conditions or a physical condition, whatever is there. Early start is always advantageous, but I cannot say 100%. It again depends at the maturity level. Any individual attains his maturity level only after 15 to 22. Some players may attain maturity level in 14 or 15, and they might think too forward. Like they might think that what will I be at the age of 40, 35? And there will be a lot of pressures current days from the relatives, from your friends, from your peers, coaches, teachers. What you're doing, how much you are earning, how much you're going to earn. So everything will come here. So at this situation, the mature player will think too futuristic into his life. Due to all these pressures, there is a chance of taking a decision that he might quit playing professional badminton. Whereas if a player has his passion and determination to achieve his life goal, irrespective of the results after being out of sports career, that's where the champion is made. The player should be thinking about that presence of mind at that particular time, at that particular age, what he is doing, why he is doing, what is important, what is his priority. If he focus on that, I'm sure they will do it. They will fulfill their goal. I will not promise that everyone will become world number one. Becoming world number one for everyone is highly impossible. In that case, I think only 2 players might play, 2 or 3 players. So the goal should be like depends on his like, interest, passion, and determination. Where is he going to get that joy of living that life? So the goal should be based on that, not on the particular materialistic world or the status world, nothing like that. Yeah. The goal should be based on his passion, interest, and the likes of his mind, irrespective of materialistic or whatever you call it. Then the player will be 100% successful.
Okay, sir, Jagdish sir, you have been in coaching line since from a long time, and you must have had your fair share of experience in this field. You must have seen coaching in various countries of various countries, and even in India itself, must have seen how coaching is in different states. So could you just tell us that what are the major challenges in this sector, in the Indian coaching sector? To be more precise, you could just tell us about badminton that you have seen as compared to European countries, or that Chinese or Malaysian countries, and in India in various states, what you have seen.
See, in India and the rest of the world, I think especially in India, the sport currently, let's talk about only current. Earlier past years were different, and current generation importance to the sports is different. But whereas I say still it is not sufficient. Current generation badminton players and their parents, what they do is they allow their children to play until like 15, 16, 17, up to 18 or 20 if they are performing top level, like top 5 or top 1 in India, they will allow. And I think their anxiety levels are too high. They are more focused into studies and their career. So when the approach is like this, and you have the result already there. Whereas the approach in other countries is not like this. When they put some kid or children in some sport, the approach will be either you will do it here or nothing. The approach should be like one goal, one target. Then everything will fall in a proper chain link. When it comes to coaching system in India, I think we are lacking a coaching in grassroots level. And due to many reasons, I could say, like a lack of sports support for the grassroots level by the government, and also I can say lack of quality coaches at grassroots level. Yeah, and I could also say at the grassroots level, the parents and children, they will be trying 3-4 different sports. So instead of trying 3-4-5 different sports, I would say I think only trying 1 or 2 sports is very good for their physical and mental performance, and increasing their ability to catch up with the career-oriented sport. When it comes to government support or the corporate support by funds, our government and corporates, what they'll do is they will sponsor and they will give you all the facilities after you perform. Why do you want after performing? Why do you want the support and funds after performing? The actual support and fund is required for the grassroots level players and the players who are coming to grassroots to intermediate to international level. So each group of players, they need a support from the government, from the corporates, from the parents. So this thing is lacking in our system. All the funds and support is going for the elite players, which must be divided equally. That's what I feel.
So one thing, sir, I want to share is that I'm based in Delhi, and since PV Sindhu won her Olympic medal, silver medal, so we have seen a recent surge in a lot of badminton academy being set up in the interiors of Delhi, the posh areas of Delhi where the incomes are high, status is high for people. And there have been a lot of private academies. I'm not talking about the government because I don't follow much about the government schemes. What are they doing for badminton? But one thing which I have seen is that a lot of these commercial academies are only focusing on the elite class, status class, which for their earnings and all, but they are not going for the grassroots development. And because there's no, you could say there's no high returns on that level, I guess. And so they just completely focus on those areas. But what personally I believe is that there's a lot of talent pool in these exterior areas, that where you could just develop grassroots and have a lot of, they have a lot of potential, lot of mental strength and other capabilities, and they could just if you nurture them well, they could just bring many medals for India. So do you believe that the same way? So,
Yeah, 100%. When it comes to rural players and the exterior players like rural urban players, uh, they will be, I think, physically and mentally disciplined, and they will have more hunger to do something and to achieve something, and they'll have very less distractions. So these attributes in the rural players will make it easy for any coach to mold them to a better player. So current generation, I think most of us are into we are completely submerged in social media world. It's a, what do you call it, is like some fourth world. We are not really living in a real world. Saying that the rural players, they will be physically fit. Not everyone. When we compare to urban and rural kids, they will have less distraction and they will have more hunger and less distraction. This will make a better possibility in the molding a rural player. As you said, when you saw the surge in number of players coming into badminton after silver medal from Sindhu, actually that was a steep surge in the wave badminton takers. But whereas badminton today is because of all our senior players. We cannot simply say because of this player, because of that player it happened.
yeah.
But I think badminton started growing from 1980s because of Professor, then All England victory by Gopi Chand. Then also Saina played a major role actually. She was there in the top for longer period. And the right times, even Sindhu catched every world's eyes and Indian's eyes, because that was a most viewed sporting event in India. Till now, it has beaten, I think, the cricket also.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong. So that silver medal made all the previous efforts of our senior players to come in line. So this is how the game works. Actually, when we see the trend of badminton, the trend depends on the performance of the individual player, and it has to continue. So if it has to continue, we have to mainly give focus on the grassroots level now only. Otherwise, down the line, we will not have any players, and again badminton will be nowhere. When you compare cricket and badminton, this is what is happening. The sport which is in the news will be trending as number one. When is the sport will be trending? That is when the players are performing. When it comes to cricket, they are performing every now and then. When it comes to badminton, we have to wait a year and year and year. So that gap should be reduced. If that gap should be reduced means we have to focus on grassroots level and the Group B, Group C level. And you also mentioned about commercialization of badminton. I truly agree with your words. Currently, I think I can say 50-50 for that. When the people come to badminton with any intention, let them come to make a money, let them come to develop the sport. First, we need people to come to the sport. Let them come by any means. after a few years, those who want to really develop the sport, they will stay in this field. Those who came to make money, few will advance. Those who cannot do it immediate basis, they will go out of the sport. Business always works. Whatever it is, business or a sport, it always works when the integrity and the development of that department is taken care of.
So, sir, moving on to the coaching part, you've been coaching for so many years. So, what do you believe that what's lacking in today's generation of players? Is there any particular thing which you take care of if in your coaching curriculum that I want to improve this part of the game in the talent pool you have in your academy?
Currently, players, they have to learn to be patient and they have to be eager to learn. Due to the pressures from different various sides, they are in a hurry to perform at the early ages. They have to have a patience. First, they have to learn to have a patience, even players and the parents. When they have a patience, I think, and a hunger to learn, everything will fall in place. Learning anything in sport, it's not a 1 night or 2 day or 3 days job. It takes years of consistency and hard work. And I think I can say it as many players, few players will achieve it very early and few players will take a long time. So in between, the player who loses the patience, he will quit the game. The player who keeps the patience and determination, he will find a ways to learn. Yeah.
So, so are you doing anything to improve this mindset of players and parents or coaches or other coaches?
Along with physical training and technical training, I saw this lack of mind training during my days only. So we had like I said, I think when 2016 or 15, 2015. I think I had lost like 4 to 5 tournaments in first round. I didn't know what was happening. I don't know what to think. I was doing everything right. I thought I was doing everything right. Physically also I was fit. Tactically also we were right. But when we go to the matches, we were not able to deliver what we used to play in practice. That time I was studying in like that internet and books. Psychology plays a major role. Why? I think physically, tactically, everything was done. Mentally, how to deliver there on the court during the match, we didn't know. So what we thought is we only made a point like this is the situation. This is how positively we have to think. All that we did ourselves by reading some books, hearing to someone, talking to coaches, talking to foreign coaches. We learned few points from them. So I had this lack of training during my days. As soon as I started my academy, professional academy, since there are top doubles players, when it comes to doubles, there is always a clash between the players. So during this time, I saw this and I had in my mind that this can be solved by a regular mind training. So in 2018, I got recruited one of the mind trainer to my academy, and I saw it in my own eyes that the problems were decreased after recruiting a mind trainer, and that has helped our current doubles players also.
So, sir, you mentioned that since the facilities were not available to you, like the mind trainer coach was not available to you, so you began self-learning because you were exploring things and you just learned it yourself, right? So,
Yes.
So I have personally seen this a lot that after like I'm not saying that all of the coaches, but most of the coaches, what they do is they once they get put into an academy and they begin training their students, they just then they're out of that zeal to just learn more new things like about training or recent developments, because for instance, like sports science is continuously evolving, and continuously there are some more new recent developments in the field of sports science, that that one researcher has found this and one researcher has found it. So do you believe that self learning is also really important for players as well as coaches? For players, because so that they are not completely dependent on coach, they also know, or they also have in mind that that this drill or this particular exercise they are doing for this purpose. So do you believe that self learning is important, and what do you suggest to players for self learning?
See, always coaches, what they do is they will tell based on the individual player. They will guide based on the individual player. Most of the coaches, they have to actually guide or coach a player based on the individual capacity. When it comes to elite group, when it comes to like general, like intermediate or grassroots level, yes, quite a part we can guide them generally. Yeah, when it comes to elite group, it has to be specific. So in that case, what we have to do is we have to find the loopholes in that particular player, and we have to see what is lacking in him. A good coach always finds out a mistake from, or a mistake or a things to be improved in an individual player, and he plans a schedule and he guides accordingly and not generally. So that again, it's a vast, I think, vast topic. I think we need 2-3 hours, or I think it's never-ending topic.
Yeah.
Again, here learning also depends. Learning from an individual player, or a self-learning, or a self-discipline, self-motivation. Everything is as important as everything what you do and day-to-day practice, physical fitness or a tactical practice. Every day is not the same for every player. There will be high and low days. So during these days, what makes you to be in the game is your self-determination, self-motivation, and self-belief in yourself. If you don't have all this, the external force like a coach or a parent or a friend, whatever we tell, it will not go to your head. So it is always, first is you have to believe in yourself. You should be hunger and you should be determined to learn and get better every day.
So, sir, any particular material, any particular book, or any particular site you wanna suggest to players or coaches for motivation or learning about coaching tips, anything?
Books, actually, I think you can connect with your knowledge or expertise or with the current trend by being connected with the current badminton matches.
Mhm.
So you should keep yourself updated what's happening in current badminton world. What are the new things being played? What are the new strategies being applied? What are the new kind of strokes being played by whom? And the physical and mental abilities of players evolving every day due to the change of score system also. So like this, it depends on that.
So could you, sir, give an example for our listeners for any specific thing which you must have pointed out, that how players are evolving, or any current trend in training you must be following?
players are evolving. I can give example like when it comes to current world number one, Kevin Sanjay and Gideon.
Mhm.
See, the players are they. I think they were at the top for I think almost 1.5 years, 2 years.
Mhm.
So that was being broke by Japanese player Watanabe and partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you watch that match, I think you will get to know how to play against these minions. So you have to watch what's happening in the current badminton world. When it comes to this pair, the strategy and the risk level is completely different than the previous doubles matches. And the whole single scenario changed because of Lee Chang-wei and Linden. So before Lee Chang-wei and Linden, it was like more of what I can say, like very like plain game. When you see Lee Chang-wei and Linden's game, and you can learn many things like how they play in every situation, how to come out of the tight situations, how to be in the rally, how to take the pressure, how to be in the zone. So like this, we can learn many things by just watching the current badminton matches without missing anyone.
Okay, sir. Thanks for these insights. Actually, I think that players must follow these. So coming on to the some of the uh, things which I wanted to ask you personally, that in Delhi and all of the north region, I have seen that in my connections also, my colleague badminton players have left out badminton during COVID times because they got demotivated or had fitness issues. Like many of my friends even grew a little belly in COVID time because they were not doing any physical activity or exercises. So how did you manage this on your part? Like how did you keep your players motivated? How did you keep your motivation? What was your plan for during COVID?
Yeah, this was I think this was a real challenge which was arised due to COVID-19, and we can say this is quite normal also for any human being to feel low, or to feel anxiety, getting anxiety or worried about the future of badminton, and they might end up doing nothing at home. I think this lockdown would be only for 2-3 months. I don't think it will affect much. It's a responsibility of a coach to take care of the student post-COVID lockdown. So you have to plan a schedule so that they are not injured and they're not getting demotivated. We have to remind them simple thing. The COVID-19 which has arisen and the unprecedented situation because of COVID-19 is not only for that individual player, it is for everyone. So we have to just remind them we are all in same page. When an individual thinks, "Arey, that guy is doing that, this guy is doing this," but we are sitting at home means that's when they get pressure. We have to remind them that the situation is same for everyone. When we were playing, the whole Europe was under lockdown. And when Europe is open, we are in lockdown. I think only 15 to 20 days of gap. There are many instances like top players, they took break for 6 months, 8 months. They come back and perform the same way. So I don't think you should be worried because of this COVID situation. You have to just keep your passion and the determination to achieve your goal with full intensity.
So I want to share one thing which we did at our academy. So we basically, sir, work on grassroots level. we have a center in Delhi, and it's not a, you can't say that it's a commercial center. It only has 2 courts, and so mainly that beginner players, or kids at around 10 to 12 years come to play there. So basically what we did in this COVID times to keep them motivated and just be, so that they have their mind in badminton. So there's a documentary, very good documentary of Carolina Marin on Amazon Prime. So in that documentary, they have shown that how Carolina Marin just got better after her ACL injury and just participated in tournaments and came back to her original ranking before her injury. So basically, we arranged a kind of that on Discord we organized a movie night kind of thing, and we just all sat and just watched that documentary. And so children really appreciated appreciated it, and they got that that ray of hope that this lockdown will end someday and they'll get back on court and perform like they were. So do you want to give any advice to players that what they can do to keep their mindset right on their own part?
They just have to write down their earlier goal, and they just write down after lockdown what they are going to do, and forget the present situation, which is very difficult to do, but that's how it has to happen. We might tell them to watch something, and we might tell them to get motivated by reading some books. But end of the day, it's their own mind. How they think inside their mind, we cannot get inside there. So end of the day, again, as I said, it is their self-determination and belief.
Okay, sir. So there were 3 questions which were asked by our followers. So basically, these people were all coaches who have their private academies. So one of the first question which a person asked was, in your curriculum at your academy, so what do you focus more on mental training or physical training in the training curriculum?
As I already said, when it comes to grassroots level, initially we will focus on the physical abilities. And when it comes to intermediate level, we will focus on physical ability and tactical abilities. When it comes to advanced level, we'll add little bit of mind also, like physical, psychological training. When it comes to elite level, depends on the individual player. Again, some players may need 51% of mental training, 49% of physical training. Some players might need only 90% of psychological training, mental training. And they are very fit. Only they need is that push and motivation. It depends on the individual player when it comes to elite level.
Basically, it should be based on individual capabilities and individual, strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, sir. And second question is, he's asking, how can players stay injury-free despite training very hard? So basically, he wants that what should be the correct balance, or kind of how could he design the training curriculum such that the injuries are least and still he could train the players at the optimum level.
In physical training, we should not overdo. If we overdo and we are not taking a proper recovery, like strength and conditioning, nutrition, and also your mind, again say mind. Due to your mind also and stringent mindset and getting irritated while playing, this will make your muscle tension much higher, and this will also result in injury. So again, the recovery of your body and your mind is crucial in avoiding injuries.
Okay, so the last one is how many sessions in a day should an elite athlete train in a day?
Hmm. 2 days of 6 hours training completely, including the physical training and on-court tactical training with your recovery. 6 hours, 2 days and 1 hour of 4 hours training, and again 2 days of 6 hours training.
Okay.
That will be like ideal for any player not to get injured or to be at his peak level.
Okay. So really, thanks for all the insights you provided us with and sharing your coaching journey with us. And that we have listeners from all around the world, and majorly they are from India. So you could just share about your academy, and you could just also tell them that where they could reach you in case they need to connect to, because I'm 100% sure that after listening to this podcast, they'll really get inspired and they wanna surely get connected to you regarding insights or for coaching inquiries. So please, you could just share your like any you could just share your social media handles, your contact number, or anything where they could just reach out to you.
See, Yadav Pro Badminton Academy is operational in 11 centers across Karnataka. Professional center is in KR Puram and JP Nagar at Skyfin Sports Center. We have 21 coaches working along with me, with 2 of the physical strength and conditioning trainers, one mind trainer. Along with them, 21 assistant coaches and head coaches along with me, they're working. Currently, my players from last 3 years, they have achieved like 14 international medals, 58 national medals, junior and senior, and 28 national medals and 58 plus state medals from the respective states. Currently, we have 3 doubles players who are in top 100 and 1 men's singles player in top 100. Recently, they also participated in All England and major top Super Series tournaments. If anyone wants to reach us, they can reach us in Facebook, Instagram at Yadav Pro Badminton Academy, and they can also call us 8546 88 4040. So in our academy, we have 2 general dormitories where we can accommodate 12 players, and we have 4 rooms, twin sharing. Along with that, we have 6 badminton courts, spacious gym and swimming pool for the recovery.
Sir, thanks for sharing your academy information, and I must say that this was a really amazing podcast, and I'm really excited that when it will get live, and I'll surely share with you when it gets live. And thanks for doing this podcast and finding time, sir.
Thank you, Ayush. This was my first podcast, I think. Last year also, like many of them asked me if I can come online or live. I was not ready for that, but this time I made up my mind so that my learnings I can share with the fellow coaches and players. Thanks for this opportunity, and let's see, one day badminton will be the largest and most viewed badminton sport in the world and in India.
Yeah, surely.
So we have to work towards that, irrespective of our region, etc., etc. We are a badminton family.